talk about Ethan Van Sciver. So Ethan Van Sciver is a comic book artist. He wrote for DC back in the day. He worked for Marvel back in the day, Green Lantern, all that stuff. He got kicked off of Patreon because
has he been kicked off of Patreon, or is it just the threat?
No, not kicked off Patreon, but he was threatened with Patreon, right? That they basically told him that he had to remove a tweet in which he was critical of Disney, and it was a tweet from like 2022 where he was critical of
They were searching, they were raking through his Twitter looking for the reason.
Yeah, they found him being critical of the parental rights and educate. You know, he was critical of Disney pushing back on the parental rights and education bill. From Ron DeSantis. He called them high octane groomers, I think was what he said. And he's right. One thing that he said, which is absolutely correct, is he called the trans lobby the most powerful socio-political lobby in the entire world.
Yeah,
mixed with
Here's
Disney.
what he said.
Absolutely.
Disney is framing a law that restricts public school teachers from presenting confusing sexual and gender concepts to children between the ages of 5 and 8 as a matter of LGBT rights.
Yep.
High octane grooming, most powerful socio-political lobby, plus most powerful entertainment corporation versus parents.
Yep.
So because he criticized the government and a mega corporation, another mega corporation is coming for him, trying to get him to self-censor. So in this email, Ray from Patreon, Trust and Safety.
Oh, even worse than Sarah with an E is Ray with an E at the end.
Don't know what that's about, said that he has violated their community guidelines with off-platform activity that is funded through Patreon. So for that reason, they need him to remove that tweet or remove the link to Patreon from his Twitter bio. So their justification is because you fund your career using Patreon, or at least in part, you're using Patreon, anything you do off the platform to fund your career is now something Patreon is liable for. Yep. So anything you say, Patreon could be liable. And that's totally improvable legally. Like, that's insane that they would say that.
I love this part where it says, this is from Ray, R-E-Y-E, Ray at Patreon says, well, diverse viewpoints are welcomed. No, they're not. They're lying. There is no room at Patreon for creators who promote sentiments of discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation. This is considered a violation of our hate speech guidelines and is not allowed because everything is hate speech to somebody who's offended by literally everything.
If you hate Disney and if you hate the government, that's hate speech because a gigantic mega corporation and the government are now protected classes.
Yep.
Excuse me?
There's like we live in backwards world now where like if you were a smart person, if you were evil and smart, like a lot of people seem to be proving themselves to be these days, anytime you do something awful, you just claim that you're trans. Because that will get you away with anything. They'll put you in the jail you want to be put in, for goodness sakes, if you want that. He's right, calling it the most powerful socio-political lobby in the entire world, and it's now affecting stuff like art and fundraising for your own projects.
Well,
it's
fortunately, he was only using Patreon for one small part of his project. It was his like trading cards. Yep. So he's moved them over to Subscribestar instead. I don't know if Subscribestar has a better... I know they have a better track record, but have they censored before?
I didn't see anything that said that, but I know a lot of people prefer Subscribestar now over Patreon.
Subscribestar is a tragically bad name for a brand.
Why is that?
I don't know why. Well, first
Tell
off,
us, marketing man extraordinaire.
Well, first off, the first thing you think of star is porn star. First.
I don't know about that.
Really?
Well, maybe if you're a messed up boy on the internet like me.
I think your mind's in the gutter.
Maybe. But that's the first thing that came to me. Subscribestar? Like, what's going on here? Seems like a kinky site.
So Subscribestar and OnlyFans should have switched. OnlyFans should have been the normal name one, and Subscribestar is the one that's,
Ethan Van Sciver has updated on Twitter about this article saying, I've said it before, but stop hiring SJWs. Look at their Twitter bios. If they're using pronouns and describing themselves by skin color, sexual proclivities, or disabilities, they will cost your business money and drive you to ruin. Fire them. Don't hire them.
That's what Vida Ayala does over
He
in
seems
comics.
to be missing the fact that Patreon is specifically seeking these people out to hire them.
But, okay, so that's...
Like, that's their goal.
But that's them, but Google, Twitter, Facebook, Meta, like all these companies just have massive layoffs.
Yep.
So I mean, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah,
and
but
what are these people gonna do now?
The email jobs might be some of the email
We're in a
jobs
precarious
might be going
situation.
away. But
Yeah.
so it says I
What
do
do you
think
do all day as a trust and safety officer for Patreon? I wonder.
I wonder if they have a belonging officer like those other companies I'm seeing now.
I mean, you've seen the
belonging
videos.
officer.
It's like first I have a workout with my girls,
And
then
who
I
is
have
the
a
story
medical.
time officer where you all get in a circle and you look at
it's
picture
adult.
books?
It's adult daycare.
and then we have a meeting about
wonder-
things that are important, and it's time for an early lunch.
I wonder if I could apply just like you know how they talk about quiet quitting, and then what's the opposite of quiet quitting, where you try to get the job that you're
Loud
not-
quitting.
What, no, the one,
Loud hiring.
the one you know what I'm talking about, right? The one where you just they were talking
I
about
want to work here.
Gen Z are just applying for jobs they're not even qualified for.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna,
called
like, if there anything
life.
I'm less qualified for than a belonging officer, I need to apply for that.
maybe the opposite of quiet quitting is just lying on your resume so you get hired.
Like, I think I need to go apply to be a belonging officer at one of these companies just to see
Well,
what
what are
happens.
Right
your
here.
qualifications?
Does that matter?
You have
Nice.
to. You have to at least make them up.
Okay, well, it's like I have like, and just put a fake university down, like Thomas Sowell University.
They'd be like, sounds legit.
It's a real name. It sounds like a real person. Like, is it really called applying loudly? I have no idea. But like, I need to go see if I can get like a belonging job somewhere. That's what we need to do. We need to like
Well, we need one.
they took over.
I want to belong.
They took over these companies by applying, getting in these low positions, and then working their ways up to positions of power. I need to go become a belonging officer some way and get into a position with hiring approval at these companies.
I saw this post.
This guy in
of,
chat
like-
says in France we have happiness managers.
Really? That's what it's called? I hope that's
According
that's a
to
lie.
Timothy Knight.
Oh no, the French are just off the rails, man. It's
I
so
do
bliss.
love,
But
I-
have you seen those carnival rides that are like you get to the top and then you just drop down? I saw a video where one of those went terribly wrong and they just like slammed at the bottom and like bounced back up again and then slammed at the bottom again. And then there were a bunch of people just flying off of the ride. Like it was just a horrible lawsuit
did they
waiting
die?
to happen. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I didn't know the whole
Mary
story.
watched a
but
snuff film and didn't even notice it. Like,
I hope not. But someone said that someone said that video came from India, but I'm not totally sure where it came from. But the caption was like, "This is gonna be like the outcome of diversity hires. Is like not just planes flying out of the sky."
yeah.
But also just normal mundane things that we do in life are going to be ruined.
They do that with the memes about it's the sound audio bit. It's like, what's better than one cover girl? Two cover, and it's always like it's like a woman in an ambulance, and she poses with her her female coworker in the ambulance, and then it cuts to an ambulance going off a bridge. They do the same thing again with like two female pilots, and it shows a plane just falling out of the sky.
Here's what should happen to all these jobs. They should be the people that argue for those positions. They should have them. They should be executives, board members for these companies. They should outline all their plans and their estimated outcomes. They should be given funding and they should be given help to do whatever it is they want to do. And if within the scheduled amount of time they don't receive the results, they should be fired, ousted, and then copious amounts of scientific articles should be written about how this has been attempted and failed.
Yeah.
Validating these people feels like the equivalent of like playing pretend with a child and they give you they're like playing pretend restaurant and they give you a pretend meal and you pretend eat it. That's
But they give you real
the
money.
equivalent of like validating inclusion and belonging officers
Yeah.
with bachelor's degrees.
But the problem is then when it goes badly, people start getting silenced for off-platform behavior, and that's kind of where I want the discussion to go here. So, what do we do now when so much of our life takes place online, and you're now being basically policed by these companies for something that didn't even happen on their platform? They can find any reason, any justification to bring it back and censor you if they really want to. But it's a scary world right now where you can get in trouble for something you didn't even do on that platform when these platforms involve part of your monthly income. Right? Like, so it's a soft form of censorship in and of itself, where it's like maybe he pushes back on this one and they go back on their word, and they break down. They say, okay, fine, we'll give you your page back, right? Like, even if they did that, it won't matter because it'll make you think twice before you say something.
I feel there should be a page that has like a counter that's like, this account has tried to cancel X amount of people. And then it has like a range. Like, this guy's code red. Like this guy does like 100 a day.
It's a rating system for how insane people are.
So people can take criticisms at face value. It's like, oh, that's Brett. He barely, he's always positive. He doesn't really try to get people fired. So the fact that he's really up in arms about this is kind of alarming. Versus whatever, like, well, okay, well, this person recreationally, psychosexually tries to get people fired.
It's funny because like I had a Patreon for skating back in the day, and I got rid of it when I came here to work because I wasn't able to contribute to the content full time. But now, because of this show, I'm sure I would get demonetized instantly. Like, I'm sure somebody would find something to complain about.
Well, if
Whatever
you're looking
about,
back
right?
through Ethan Van Sciver's tweets from a year ago, or like over a year ago, to come up with a violation of their community guidelines that is already BS, then of course they would come up with any justification. It seems like it should be illegal, but there aren't any legal changes coming anytime soon to punish these tech companies. And like, if they get rid of an Ethan Van Sciver, yes, they lose out on the share of his money that they would have gotten. But in the end, like, Patreon is such a large platform that it's just a rounding error to them. So unless they face legal repercussions for doing these things and like violating people's privacy and the way their private companies are run, then nothing is going to change.
And Patreon has a history of this, of censoring various...
It's been so long. They started this from the very beginning, back in like 2014. They've always done this.
Yeah.
It's nothing new.
It got worse after 2016.
Yeah.
Like in like 20, I remember in 2018, I believe it was particularly bad.
Yeah. They've already brought down the ban hammer many times.
It is what it is. Like, I think...
I feel like, okay, maybe this is cynical. I feel like some of these anti-woke people, especially like in the comic books industry, they join Patreon knowing that they'll get censored on there, and then they can make a more strategic move to a different platform or an independent platform.
I think he's been on there for so long. I don't know
or
if
like
that's the
Indiegogo,
argument here.
for instance, like that too. Like
a lot of them
platforms that are well known to censor people and kick people off.
Indiegogo is the preferred platform for anyone that isn't like a far left loon at this point. It's far better campaigns are going on at Indiegogo than are going on at Kickstarter. Kickstarter had their comic czar. I forget what her name was. Somebody in the chat will remember whose name. She was awful. She was so basically it was her job to review every comic book, like every single one. She was her job to review their pitches and then decide whether it was okay to be on their platform. And the one that was labeled like punch Nazis, that was okay, but anything that's right of Stalin is not necessarily okay.
Lovingyourdad.com.
Yeah, basically that would have been okay.
It's whatever you do, don't ask a belonging officer about their relationship with their father.
I need that job.
It's not going to go well for you.
I need to get my job as a belonging officer somewhere.
But you like your dad.
That's true.
It's not going to work.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.